Hi, my name is Jack. I'm the medical study doctor here at Atlantia, and I have an interest in the microbiome. I can't give any medical advice in this video, but we thought we'd answer some of the questions that you guys had about the microbiome and how it interacts with our health.
Can you have too much fermented food in your diet?
So you can, in some studies, get small reactions to fermented food when you first start eating them. For example, like people can get gas and bloating or even brain fog in very severe cases. However, this is generally like very temporary as people start getting used to the food. And generally, I would say that the health benefits of having fermented food are far better than the detractions. And so all of us should be eating more of it. Like there are studies out there where people are having like 3 doses of fermented food or 4 in a day with absolutely no negative effects whatsoever. So I'd say having at least 1 a day will be beneficial.
What are the best probiotics to take?
I would say that probiotics should be generally targeted to a specific issue. So there's nothing that I would specifically take just in general to improve our gut health. If you have an issue such as, say, like stomach infection or IBS, then you can look up if there's an article online showing that that is effective, like a scientific article. But generally, if you're just interested in improving your gut health in a general sense, then something like a fermented food will have lots of probiotic strains in it and might be much more effective. So that.
Can probiotics have any effect on hypothyroidism?
So a lot of people know about the brain-gut axis because it's well researched and it tends to make it into the news a lot. But there's also lots of other axes in the body. So there's the gut-lung axis, there's the gut-heart axis, and there's also the gut-thyroid axis as well. It's not nearly as well researched as the gut-brain axis. However, they do think it works in 2 ways. For example, the gut can have a huge effect on the immune system, and that can cause like thyroid immune disease. So that can cause hypothyroidism. And the gut is also hugely important for absorbing nutrients, which are important for the thyroid. So that's like iron, copper, iodine, and selenium. And so a lot of the studies at the moment have been animal studies so far, and we don't have that much research in humans, but there was one interesting one I saw, which involved someone taking what's called a symbiotic. So that's probiotic as well as a fiber at the same time. And in this case, I think they used Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, and Streptococcus haemophilus. And they found that that did actually have a good effect on improving hypothyroidism in people. However, at the moment, we still need more research on it, but it's an interesting area that we'll be looking at.
How can I choose the best type of yogurt?
So yogurts are a fermented food. So they are milk that has bacteria added to it to give it extra benefits, and it changes the taste. It's one of the most common fermented foods that are eaten in Ireland. I probably wouldn't recommend any specific brand of yogurt, but there are some general rules you can follow when you want to pick a yogurt that's good for your gut. So that would be making sure that there is live bacteria on it. So you can see on the back, it'll say yogurt cultures or live cultures, and it might list out the bacteria as well. Another thing is try and make sure there's no added sugar to it as well. And also try to get something that has the least ingredients possible. So that will often mean getting an unflavored yogurt if that is what you enjoy. However, if you're looking at getting the least amount of ingredients, it doesn't really matter if it lists out the bacterial strains, as they wouldn't count towards that. So someone also asked about vegan alternatives to yogurts, such as like soy cups. There's not as much research on these, but I wouldn't see any reason why they wouldn't be beneficial to the gut as long as they have live strains in them. And if you're interested in vegan or plant-based fermented foods, there's also lots of other options like kimchi and kombucha as well, which would be very beneficial too.
Is there any research on pain and the gut?
Yeah, the link between chronic pain and the microbiome is quite interesting. It goes 2 directions. So if you have chronic pain and chronic stress, that can affect the microbiome. But also, if the microbiome isn't functioning right, that can also make us more sensitive to pain and more sensitive to stress. This can be helpful as well when treating, but also can make a bit of a cycle between stress and pain and the microbiome. If you are interested in going a bit deeper into how pain and the microbiome is connected, there is a doctor named Dr. Deepak Ravindran, and he has a book about it if you want to dive into the subject any further.
Is there any link between gut microbiota and acne?
So there is multiple microbiomes in and on the body. So we know about the gut microbiome, but there's also, for example, the lung microbiome. And as well as that, there is a skin microbiome too. And it's, once again, less research than the gut microbiome, but it has been shown that there is a lot of involvement of the skin microbiome when it comes to acne, and it may be part of the cause of it. Also, it does appear that there is some link between the gut microbiome and the skin itself. So, for example, if the gut microbiome is not working properly, that can cause inflammation, and that may affect acne on the skin. However, it's not really a hugely researched area, and it's not really the primary way that we would approach acne at the moment. For example, if you are suffering from acne, the main thing to be done would be to see a doctor about it and possibly get referred on to a dermatologist. It may in the future prove to be a big role for the gut. However, for now, it's not our main approach for treating acne.
I'm retired. What can I do to improve my gut health?
So there is a lot of research looking at how the microbiome changes as we age, and it does go through a few changes as we approach the ages of, say, 70 and 80, where we lose diversity, which can make the microbiome more vulnerable to damage. And we lose specific bacteria such as lactobacillus, roseburia, and Faecalibacterium. These are important for healthy aging, and there are things that we can do to support the gut and keep it in a healthier state, which can help with a smoother and healthier aging process. The things like making sure we get a proper fiber intake. The other thing is making sure we get lots of polyphenols. So they occur in like colorful fruits and vegetables. So the idea is that you just eat the rainbow or have as many colorful fruits and vegetables as you can, and that supports the gut. And the other thing we can do is, if you want to go for a more radical approach, is you can take up the Mediterranean diet. And the idea there is it's diet high in fruit, vegetable, nuts, and oily fish, and you reduce the amount of dairy and meat that you take in. And that has been shown to be quite good for keeping the gut in a healthier state for longer, which can lead to a healthier aging process.
Does soaking peanuts help with their nutrient absorption?
So I hadn't heard this question before, but it turns out there is some research on it. So the theory is that nuts contain something called phytates, and that can block the absorption of other nutrients within the nut. And the idea is that if you put the nut in water, it diffuses out the phytate, and then nutrients can be absorbed better. However, the research that has been done on this has shown that it doesn't really make much difference, and nutrient absorption is the same whether they are soaked or not. So, maybe the jury is still out, but I would say you could save yourself the effort for now. There were lots of people asking about specific issues such as weight gain and loss of appetite. And really, if you are concerned about those, you should try to see your doctor, and they can arrange with a dietitian for any specific dietary advice and arrange for any tests that you might need. If you're looking for more general advice about looking after the gut and keeping it in good health, there are a few pieces of advice you can follow. Like, for example, everyone, I'd say in the West, should be having more fiber. Like, generally, on average in the UK and Ireland, we only have about 18 grams of fiber a day, whereas reality, we should be having about 30. And in some parts of the world, people are having about 50 grams a day, which it can be beneficial for health. The other thing is that we should all be trying to cut down on the amount of ultra-processed foods we're having. So, sugar-sweetened beverages like fizzy drinks and sweets, and even, anything that just contains a lot of additives in it. And the last thing is, I would say people should be trying to introduce more fermented foods into their diet. So that's things like yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, and kombuchas, if they are to our tastes.